Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into the direwolf. Fossils, extinction, and now this whole de-extinction thing with Colossal Biosciences.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. We've got the science, the news articles. We're going to try and figure out what this animal really was.
And why it vanished, and what this rebirth actually means.
Well, first off, that name dire wolf, it just sounds formidable, doesn't it? Comes from roots meaning terrible wolf or dreadful dog.
Definitely grabs you. And thanks to things like Game of Thrones, it's kind of lodged in the public imagination.
For sure. Scientifically, though, it's interesting. We used to call it Canis dirus.
Right, like terrible wolf.
Exactly. But more recently, especially with genetic data, there's a push for Inocyon dirus. Still means terrible dog, basically.
So it wasn't just a slightly bigger gray wolf.
Seems not. The genetics suggest it was sort of a distinct lineage, a separate branch that died out. It's not a brand new idea, but the DNA evidence really backs it up now.
Okay, so let's picture the Sanician. How different was it?
Well, think bigger skull, maybe into a foot long. And the teeth, larger, built for a much more powerful bite than gray wolves.
So stronger jaws. What
Yeah.
about the body?
Stockier, heavier build overall. We're talking maybe 130, 150 pounds on average. That's like, what, 25% heavier than a typical gray wolf?
So less built for speed, maybe more for brute strength?
That's the idea. Strength over endurance. And there are widespread fossils found from Alaska way down to South America, Bolivia even.
Wow. All sorts of habitats, too. Grasslands, woods.
Yeah, pretty adaptable in that sense. But the real jackpot for fossils is Rancho La Brea in Los Angeles. Thousands of them.
Why so many there?
The tar pits were natural traps. Animals got stuck. Predators like dire wolves came to scavenge or hunt the trapped animals, and they got stuck themselves. It gives us this incredible snapshot.
Makes sense. You mentioned they're less common up north.
Yeah, fewer finds north of about 42 degrees latitude. It could be temperature, maybe different prey availability, or just the impact of the ice sheets back then.
Okay, so what were they eating? You said strength over speed.
Primarily megafauna. Horses seem to have been a big menu item. Also ground sloths, some bison, maybe camels.
The big stuff.
Exactly. And we see a lot of tooth breakage in the fossils. That suggests they were really going at carcasses, maybe scavenging quite a bit, crunching bone.
Sounds intense. Did they hunt alone?
Probably not. Those large numbers at La Brea hint at pack hunting. Maybe big packs, even 30 or more. Their back teeth were also well suited for tearing meat.
So really dependent on those giant Ice Age animals.
Very much so. And that dependence, well, that's likely a huge part of why they went extinct.
Right, the quaternary extinction event around 10,000 years ago.
Yep. As the climate changed and those big fauna prey the horses, the bison started disappearing around 13,000 years ago. The dire wolves would have been in trouble.
Because they were specialists.
Exactly. Unlike the gray wolf, which is more of a generalist and survived, the dire wolf's food source vanished. Plus, you had increasing competition from gray wolves moving in, and maybe pressure from arriving humans, too.
Okay, so that sets the stage for the modern story. Colossal Biosciences.
Right, the de-extinction company. They're working on mammoths, thylacines, and now they claim the dire wolf.
But it's not quite de-extinction in the sci-fi sense, is it? They're not cloning an ancient dire wolf directly.
No, not at all. It's more accurate to say they're using genetic engineering. They've sequenced ancient DNA from dire wolf fossils.
Gotcha.
Compared it to the gray wolf genome, they share something like 99.5% DNA, and then use CRISPR gene editing to make specific changes.
How many changes?
They've mentioned around 20 edits across 14 different genes, trying to tweak things like size, maybe coat color, head shape, jaw strength, to resemble the dire wolf phenotype.
Using gray wolf DNA as the base and dog eggs as surrogates, I read.
That seems to be the process. And they announced pups born Romulus and Remus back in October 24, and then Khaleesi in January 25.
Quite the names.
Yeah, very evocative. And apparently, these pups are growing fast, showing some of those target traits: bigger size, powerful build, wilder behaviors.
So this is what people mean by direwolf colossal or Remus direwolf, these engineered pups.
Pretty much. It's Colossal's project name. And Remus being one of the first, it gets highlighted. It's symbolic of their effort.
Where are they keeping them? Not just letting them run wild, I assume.
Definitely not. They're in a large, secure preserve over 2,000 acres, apparently certified by the American Humane Society, USDA registered, cameras, security, the works, with a dedicated care team.
And the long-term plan.
Still seems focused on secure preserves. They've mentioned potential collaborations, maybe on indigenous lands. Talks with the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation in North Dakota have been reported. It's partly about restoring an animal, partly about proving their de-extinction toolkit.
This has obviously made news recently.
Oh yeah, early April, lots of coverage,
Mm.
focus on the genetic engineering, the ancient DNA, the size comparisons, and inevitably the Game of Thrones connection.
How is the public taking it?
It's mixed. You get the, wow, science is amazing excitement, but also a lot of skepticism. Are these really dire wolves or just heavily modified gray wolves? And ethical concerns pop up too.
Like what?
Well, the classic playing God arguments. Animal welfare for the engineered animals and the surrogates. Is this the best use of conservation resources versus saving species still alive? Ecological impacts. It's complicated.
Yeah, the ecological side feels huge. The original prey is gone. What would they even eat in the wild today?
That's a major question. How would they interact with modern ecosystems, with existing predators like gray wolves who might have filled that niche? Keeping them in preserves avoids immediate issues, but raises questions about the ultimate purpose.
Unless there's a plan for controlled reintroduction, maybe with groups like the MHA Nation.
That seems to be a potential avenue they're exploring. For some indigenous groups, the dire wolf has historical and spiritual significance, a symbol of strength, part of the natural balance. Bringing it back, even in this modified form, could hold cultural value.
So it's not just the science or the pop culture link.
Now, there's a deeper cultural layer, too, alongside the obvious power the name itself carries in popular imagination.
Okay, so wrapping this up. The dire wolf was this distinct, powerful Ice Age predator, specialized for a world that vanished, leading to its extinction.
Right. And this modern effort by Colossal isn't a simple resurrection, but a complex genetic engineering project using gray wolves as a base.
Which brings a whole host of scientific questions, ethical debates, and potential ecological unknowns, plus that cultural resonance.
Exactly. It touches on a lot of sensitive points.
So here's something to chew on. Considering all the resources, the technology, the ethical discussions, what does the success of genetically recreating an animal like this truly signify for conservation and our relationship with the natural world? Is it a step towards fixing past mistakes, or are we opening a Pandora's box of unforeseen consequences? Lots to consider there. Thanks for joining this deep dive.